Hello, folks. Here we are again. Lindsey Huddleston, representing Coach's Culture, presented by SPS Sports Performance Solutions. Here in the flesh, you heard me talking about my partner in crime, Keith Tay. He really does exist. He appeared on us. We didn't know we was going to take the helicopter over the limousine. I don't know how you did it, Keith, to get here, but Keith is here. And we're here with Jason Wilkins, founder of Ladies Ballers Insiders, LBI, also the Wilkins Report, Outstanding Scouting Report. Keith, when we came in, he handed out the scouting report, and it was so cool, man. He had all the teams, laid out all the individual information. I'm sure the coaches eat this up too when they see this, right?
Oh, yeah, they love it.
They love it. That's good. So tell us more about LBI and the 9 years you've been doing these great events. I know you got a great event coming up in my hometown, Detroit, and probably your adopted hometown coming from Ypsilanti next week. So tell us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, we in Detroit next week, the 9th annual Best Michigan Holiday Classic. Okay. We have the best teams in the state coming in down there. Plus, we have Columbus Afrocentric from Columbus, Ohio. Okay. They were division champions last year. They have a player going to Tennessee named Jordan Horston, USA basketball player. Okay. Going up against Detroit Edison, which is ranked number 7 in the country.
Right. Yeah. Well, they have like 10 D1 players.
Yeah, they loaded. They got they got the Miss Basketball favorite, Rakia Jackson.
Rakia Jackson, she's a sweet young lady too.
Then they got the best junior in the state, Gabby Elliott, and they got the best sophomore in the state, Demia Hageman.
Wow, they're doing it. They're doing it over there.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you on Coach's Culture. I mean, what Keith and I do, we try to reach out and be connected with as many coaches as possible. And you being a key figure in basketball, tell us what's your thought about the overall basketball scene, especially as it relates to women's basketball here in the state of Michigan.
It's actually pretty good. A lot of teams don't play in showcase events, so when you go watch a game like we're watching right now, that's really a blowout. You would think it's kind of bad, but you see all the girls, top teams together in one gym. It's really good basketball. We have a lot of good players in the state of Michigan that go off and play at various colleges.
That's a good point. And you make a really good point, because right now we're looking at the score, Keith, and it's 40-4. And wow, I mean, you're talking about a 36-point deficit, 35, as we just scored with Waverly. But, Keith, how do you feel being out here as a coach yourself? What do you pick up from, watching girls showcases, whether it's high-level teams or teams that are just, making their way? What do you think?
Well, I think obviously it's a great thing, to do showcases for the girls' sports as well, for girls' basketball, because you see them with the boys all the time, and so on. And that's why I think it's so refreshing that he has the LBI, to someone that's really focusing on this market, to get the exposure out there for the girls and help them out, along with, like I said, getting there with all the colleges for different showcases and such. And it's kind of when I went to Everett High School, you weren't around yet with the LBI, but back in the 2000 range, early 2000s, Everett High School went to 3 straight state championship games, won 2 of them in a row, had D1 players across their sixth man or sixth girl, went to UNLV in high level, MSU, Louisiana Tech, when they were still, part of one of the major programs and stuff. So it's definitely a joy to watch the top level, girls basketball programs. Like you said, Detroit Edison later on is supposed to be playing.
That should be a nice
what made you get into LBI? Do you have a daughter, a cousin, a niece, or someone that was playing and you wanted to start it? Or how did that begin?
I never had a relative to play girls basketball. That's the funny part. Everybody think that I started because of a daughter or a niece. Right. I actually started when I started coaching girls basketball back in 2011 from the boys side. Okay. On the boys side, we always come up to the.
Where were you coaching at? I'm sorry.
I used to coach at Dearborn Heights Rubber Shop.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So when I flipped to the boys side, from the boys to the girls, there wasn't nothing for the girls. I'm like, so I'm asking coaching around, like, where do y'all do showcase games at? Where y'all scrimmage at? They're like, we don't do it. So that's why I just took everything from the boys side and brought to the girls side.
Well, when you did that was a great question, Keith. When you did that, Jason, were you met with resistance? Was it like an uphill battle that you were trying to do something that had never been done? What was that experience like?
A lot of coaches first didn't understand because they never did it, especially with the rosters. They like, why you need my roster?
They were holding on to that information.
Like, what you need my roster for? Like, we don't do stuff like this. And then when they started seeing it, it just really took off, and it really took off in the past 3 years. Like, I do a scrimmage. I had 60 Michigan high school teams in one building last year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So, quick question. were you still coaching while you started LBI? Is that why they're holding on to the rosters and stuff?
Yeah, I was.
Oh man,
I was.
See, look, you was trying to have a little advantage too.
But honestly, nobody knew. I never told nobody that I ran LBI.
Okay.
I had to separate it from the coaching, and because I had some really good players, which one is at Penn State right now, starting guard at Penn State.
Oh wow!
I got a girl at UD right now. I had a girl that go to EMU, so I had some good players.
Okay.
And I always separated. Like I used to have college coaches ask me like, "Why you never tell me about your kids?" I said, "Because you didn't call about my kids."
Right. That's interesting, Coach, when you talk about the success you have, so it seems that for a moment you took off your coaching hat and put on your CEO hat to kind of create this showcase, but clearly you had some success with high-level players. So what has your experience been like coaching this generation of athletes? Because that's some things that Keith and I really work to try to pull out of our guests when we talk. So, I mean, you had young ladies going on to all these great programs. So, what's your secret, or how do you relate, or, what do you think is some good advice you can give a current coach person this generation of athletes now?
Just if you invited to a showcase event, you need to go, especially if you have talented players.
So a lot of coaches won't take advantage of that.
No, you got some coaches that don't think it's necessary to play on a Saturday or a Sunday, which I understand. You probably got a family, you be in the gym all day, but take advantage of it.
But that sounds like more of a, I know we sit here with family responsibility. That sounds like more of a coach's personal preference. I know Oklahoma High School, the whole school, for example, they played last night.
Right.
The girls there, and they're scheduled to play again at the end of the night. So clearly you have a coach who feels different, So, Keith, we have the Wilkins report. I know you're a really big numbers dude. How do you feel about scouting reports? And, Jason, tell us something about Wilkins report that makes it very unique,
The Wilkins report is a scouting service for college coaches at all levels. Because a lot of coaches can't get out to see all the kids. And it's just like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, as an NFL executive. You can't see every kid, so you depend on resources. We're just a resource.
Right.
I'm not saying ours is accurate or you got to give what we say, but we are pretty good at what we do.
Sure.
We're just a resource for colleges outside the Michigan area that want to recruit Michigan kids that subscribe to the service and come check the kids out.
Well, that's great. You got some great things going on here. Lady Baller Insiders and a Wilkins report. He had a real nice piece. I'm going to show it on camera that he put together. Whatnot, had all the information. It's the LBI Start to March. It all starts here. And you also said next week you'll be in Detroit at Detroit Edison for a pretty big showcase too. You said, right?
Yeah, we got a big showcase, and also I have a great staff. It's not just me.
Okay.
I have like 6 people that we all together, and they do a great job of providing information, being on social media, helping me with the packets, with the schedule. So it's a lot of work goes on into this. It's just not just me.
Right.
So, question. I'm probably going to wrap up, so I don't know if Lindsay has any more. So are you out of coaching full time then? Is this what took over, you coaching? Is this more of a passion thing for you where you said you didn't want to coach anymore? I guess what was that transition, if it's if it's okay for me to ask?
Good.
Okay.
Good question. I had got kind of bigger, and it became more of more time. So it's coaching. This made me stop coaching.
Right.
But I'm still involved in the game with the kids,
which is good.
And actually, by me coaching helped me meet more high school coaches. So now I know all the high school coaches, and then they know by me coaching, I know a little bit about basketball.
Yeah, some credibility too. That says a lot. Well, this is Lindsay Huddleston with my partner in crime, Keith Tate, here with the Coach's Culture here at Wilkins High School. The score is 51-11. That sounds like a 40-point differential right here. Forest Hills Northern having a great start going into the second half. And I have Jason Wilkins of LBI, Lady Ballers Insider, as well as the Wilkins Report sitting down. He's doing some great things highlighting lady basketball, and I think it's so easy for us if it's not, a team that's going to come out with a bunch of dunks and, fly through the sky. People say that's what they want. But, one thing I like about this, Jason, is the fundamentals are in effect, when you watch young ladies play. How do you what are some other things you help promote as it relates to women's basketball that people kind of overlook or take for granted compared to men's basketball? So what are some things that you look at that are different with women's basketball that are different than men's basketball? Some differences you try to talk about?
Strictly fundamentals.
Strictly fundamentals, huh?
Yes, that's all it is. We got some our athletic players. They're not gonna go up and just dunk baseline. You think a kid is good. When you see a good girl, she's really good because she's fundamentally sound, technique on her jump shot, and everything else.
Being a leader in the women's basketball area, and I definitely would consider you a leader. What is some advice you could give to parents of someone who is allowing their young daughter to play? My daughter's 6. You know, she likes to get out there a little bit. But what advice can you give them for those who may be exploring more about girls basketball?
Just let them have fun. Don't focus on winning or losing at an early age, because you know you do that, girls will probably end up not want to play. That's any kid, but I would say just let them have fun.
Sure.
And if they like it, they really put the work into it.
Yeah, let them be exposed to it. Well, earlier we had Coach Gwen from Detroit King. They had a successful win earlier, Keith, and she made some really good comments that we didn't get on the earlier podcast, but I want to be able to include that here. She talked about evolving and devolving. She brought that up, and Coach and I talk about that. So, Jason, when you look at these players, you look at a coach like Coach Mike Krzyzewski, 71 years old, and just recently it was announced he got the #1 player in the upcoming class, and he beat out the local favorite Tom Izzo on Michigan State. You know, what advice do you have about coaches who continue to kind of stay in the game? What does it take for coaches to stay current? Where you can have someone like like a Krzyzewski. Yeah, I know he has the Duke brand behind him, but he's still winning out over other coaches. You know, so what's something that coaches can do to kind of stay current and stay connected so they can still stay with this generation?
The good coaches know how to adapt to the culture.
Adapt to the culture. I like that.
Right now, it's social media. That's simple as that.
And you use a coach like Tom Izzo, for example, who is on record saying how much he hates it and he dislikes it. You know, but I don't know where he's at with it. But you're saying you got to be able to embrace those things.
Got to adapt.
Adapt or die is what they say. So we have Jason Wilkins here with LBI, a great resource. It's good to know someone's out here in the community doing some great things. He has a huge showcase coming up next week in Detroit at Detroit Edison. You want to get over. What time does that kick off over there at Edison?
We kick off 8 a.m.
8 a.m. We'll be going all day.
Right in there.
Long days. Well, that's good. Well, I got my partner in crime, Keith, to the keys to New Crib Tate. He's always making something happen. Keith, as we get prepared to wrap up, is anything else you want to ask our guest, Jason?
No, I just really want to congratulate him and commend him on his business, on what he's doing. I mean, I think this is super. Like Lindsay said earlier, I'm a numbers guy. I'm looking at plus minuses all the time. Last night, I'm looking at the varsity boys stat sheet. Like, man, we had 6 less turnovers. We had, shot better from 3, but we missed 17 free throws, and that was the game. You know what I mean? Like those things. I really focus in and dig in on numbers, see what they're, what each team is doing, what each player is doing. So I really, commend you on what you're doing and focusing on the ladies, because there are, great skill. Like you said, the skill level for the ladies are high. Because they focus on the fundamentals and doing things the correct way. So it is a good thing to watch. I just really wanted to commend you on a successful business that you're running, and like I said, and being in this niche market with the ladies high school ball.
I really appreciate being on the show.
Great, thanks for that, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Right,
we're out.